So in this case, we were able to achieve the same plant density by putting multiple seeds together, still decrease our labor costs by harvesting more efficiently with the more space. So all those little tweaks really comes in handy. Welcome to another Grow Guide episode with FarmAnywhere. As usual, we are inside FarmAnywhere's R&D container right by our manufacturing facility. Today we're continuing the cilantro grow tutorial. We're going to be harvesting some cilantro. So what's interesting with cilantro is that it's a cut and repeat crop, so we only have to plant it once and then we could come back and harvest multiple crops again and again and again. So you'll see at the end of the video how long it took us to harvest this, and also how much weight we got from it, and then how much you should expect, because what's beautiful about cilantro is that the more you cut, the more you harvest, the more it grows, and therefore the higher yield gets. And we'll talk about also how long the plant can stay inside the grow area and continue repeating itself. That may surprise you. So let's get right into it. All right, so because this crop is a cut and repeat, it means that we're gonna leave a little bit of the stem on the actual plant, and therefore it's important to be as clean as possible on our blades, on our scissors, so that we don't introduce infections or possible bacteria, contaminants that could cause issue on the whole plant and maybe even transfer throughout the whole farm. So what we're going to do as first step is take out our scissors, and I have sodium hydrochloride here that I've made myself, and I'm just going to go ahead and spray my blade like that and let it sit. You can alternatively use hydrogen peroxide, you could use rubbing alcohol, you could even use like a lighter if you really want to use heat to sanitize them. Whatever it takes for you to be able to sanitize your scissors as much as possible. So I'm just going to give it a good little wipe here. And then these cilantros have been in the grow area for about 4 weeks. They were 2 weeks in the back nursery, which overall is a long period of time. Normally 7 days is good enough in the nursery, but what happens is that we didn't have space to transfer it into the main grow room here, so we let them in the nursery for a little longer. That's the beautiful part about having a nursery inside the farm, is to be able to use it as a bit of a buffer. And then because of how long they are, as you can see, we could have harvested last week as well, but we only got to it this week. So we're gonna start harvesting right away. So you're only supposed to have the initial growth inside the farm on the cilantro done for the first 3 weeks. You don't touch them so that they grow bushy like that, and then after that you can start harvesting every week. So as you can see here, when I'm cutting, I'm only going to go in and select only stems that are the longest, like so, and like so, and then put it into my harvest bins. And then it happens sometimes that there's a little bit of wilting for whatever reason. So the wilting, we're just gonna put it away. But overall, we're gonna keep it as a short bush like that. Super important that you always leave a little bit of growth on the stem so that the plant can continue its photosynthesis process, or else you can kill the plant and then it won't reproduce again, and that's not what you want, right? So this is a good example of what it looks like. Looks like we got a bit of a runt here that doesn't want to grow, so we may want to replace those. Normally you'd want to be careful because every single place counts, and so if you're getting a runt like that, you would want to replace it early on. We didn't act fast enough, but we kind of left it for another good example to show you guys what not to do, and is to keep an eye on those lower performing plants. You always want to have only proven winners. So we're going to continue the process here. I just grabbed the top like so. Another thing we did differently with this batch is that we actually seeded 2 seeds per plant site, but gave a 2-to-1 plant spacing ratio. So 2 seeds on that single site, gave a space, and then checkered basically the layout of the farm. Previously, what we were doing is having 1 seed per site, but having a 1-to-1, so every single site had a plant. The problem with that is that, of course, it increases the density, which is great. That's what we're looking for. However, it increases the labor in terms of harvesting because you have so many plants to work around. It becomes difficult to harvest in a quick and efficient manner. So in this case, we were able to achieve the same plant density by putting multiple seeds together and still decrease our labor costs by harvesting more efficiently with the more space. So all those little tweaks really comes in handy when you're operating a farm And it's something that you never want to take for granted as to not only your plant spacing and how efficient you are in harvesting, but also planning the farm ahead and saying, hey, on the next crop, I may want to do this differently because my workers are taking too long to do a certain task. So we've done a few right now, so we're going to continue and do the entire tray and calculate how long it takes for you guys so you know exactly how long it's going to take to harvest a tray, and then we're going to go weigh the final result. So we're done with the cilantro harvesting. We affectionately call it a haircut. So that's what it looks like when you're done. Obviously, you want to have those stems as low as possible compared to the canopy. So here's a good example of what not to do, but we didn't have any other choice because the new growth is lower than the stems. Because what happens is that it'll be higher and it'll be harder for you to come in and harvest next week. So the lower the better. Obviously, once they're dried up, you can always kind of clean it up in the future weeks, but we're going to keep doing this for the next 6 to 8 weeks at least, and only after that see if we're going to switch it out for new ones or continue harvesting until they start to wilt or until the taste starts to change. Also, there's something called bolting. They could try to go into flowering or seeding, and that changes the taste. So that's your telltale sign that you're going to need to change your seedlings for something new from the nursery. But another thing too is that we could increase the density on this 10x. We could have a 1-to-1 plant spacing ratio, and then we could have 3, 4, 5 seeds per rock wool tray and increase the density quite a bit more and therefore get more yield. But it will cause issues on the labor side. But if you'd like to see what it looks like growing cilantro at maximum efficiency, maximum plant spacing, let us know in the comments and we'll do a video on that. Also like this video if you like what you've seen so far. So now we're going to go into the lobby, we're going to weigh it, we're going to pack it in multiple ways, and then we're going to wrap it up right there with a few tips and tricks as well on planning your crop. All right, so now we're ready for packaging our cilantro. So question first is, how much did we harvest in this batch? So I have an empty harvest tray here. I'm going to zero it out. Excellent. Put it on. And we're looking at 280 grams total of harvest for a 8-foot tray. Obviously, you got to keep in mind that we're going to be getting more and more every week. How much more are we going to get for the next following weeks? Well, it's going to be about 15 to 30% growth week over week for the first 3 weeks. After that, it starts to plateau a little bit as to how much you're harvesting. But it takes about 5 minutes to harvest an 8-foot tray, and you're not growing only cilantro. This is a value-added crop. You're growing other things as well too, as a benefit to your customer, and therefore it's kind of convenient and easy to maintain since it's a cut and repeat, and you're able to get some good revenue from it with very little work. So how are we going to pack it? Well, there's 2 different ways of packing it. We have the clamshell. So this is going to be more towards the consumer side, like farmers market, or if you're going to go into grocery chains and things like that. And I like to pack it at 50 grams. So I'm going to put it on the scale right here, zero it out, and then I'm going to take a good handful. And then I'm going to be careful also for the presentation, since consumers were going to be looking at the final product here. So I'm thinking probably a little bit more than that. 50 grams on the dot, so I know I'm good to go. So I'm just gonna take care of packaging it nicely and closing it like that. And we have our finished product. So we could slap our label on this 50 grams, your name of the farm, lot number if you're following GAP practices, and you're ready to sell this. Next, you have the wholesale side. So wholesale side, like restaurants, for example, they don't really need to have nice packaging, but they need bulk. And so we have a big Ziploc bag right here that you could get on the wholesale side. We're gonna tear this out as well. 0 out, perfect. And then we're gonna fill this, probably gonna go around the 100 gram side because it's quite a bit of cilantro at 100 grams. So try not to waste any right now. $150 grams. So we could do 150, so that's what it looks like at 150. If we removed to keep it at 100, we're looking at about, let's just show you the quantity here. So that would be 100 grams. So the bag might be a bit too big for 100 grams. So 150, 200 grams would be your target on the wholesale side. Obviously, your customer will dictate to you what they need based on their operation. So for example, if it's a small restaurant, they're obviously not going to need as much, and one bag, 150, could get them through the weekend fairly easily compared to a big chain restaurant. So you got to talk to your customer. That's super important, especially when it comes to hyper local container farming like we are doing here. So with that, I'm going to give it a little bit of air just to protect the crop, because we're going to pack that into a case like so. Slap the logo again of the company, how much weight, what it is, when it was harvested, and you are good to go. So those are the two ways of going about it. That is the simplest way and the fastest way for you to be able to pack. And that's it for cilantro. It's probably one of the easiest crop after basil that you can not have to start seed every single week, but that you can kind of rotate through the farm. It plays really, really well with any other crop. So obviously our container farm is made to grow more than just one crop. We don't like to monocrop because we're hyper local farming, and therefore the community needs multiple different crops, and this plays a really good role in that ecosystem. If you like this video, subscribe to our channel, like this video if it brought you some value. If you have any comments or questions about the process, write them below. We would love to answer them. And if you want to see more about what we're doing on the manufacturing side, on the services side, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn to know more. And we'll see you on the next video.